Hi kiddos! In today's assignment, we're going to keep working on our social studies research projects. Today we're at kind of the biggest chunk of this project, and it might take us a week or two to finish it. We're going to start actually doing the research, where you're going to learn more about your topic. Now, it's not enough to just learn about your topic. You have to remember the important parts of what you've learned so that you can use the information to teach your classmates. And when you do this, you want to get information, but you don't want to just copy someone else's ideas and claim them as your own, because that's not honest. So, you're going to be keeping track of a few things while you do your research. You're going to be keeping track of what sources, so what websites, what books, what documentary movies, maybe what people, what tools do you use, or what people do you talk to? In a moment, I'll show you the way we're going to organize this, but you're going to keep a list of those places you visit, tools you use, things where you learn from. There's also going to be a place in this chart for you to jot down some notes about what you learn. These notes are your reminders about the important stuff you learned from that source. And eventually those notes are what is going to become your presentation. At the end of the presentation, though, there's always going to be a part where you list all the sources you visited, a list of books you read and websites you visited, things like that. That's why it's going to be important. Well, that's the other reason it's important to keep track of your sources. One is just academic honesty. You want to be truthful that, hey, I used these other people's thinking to help me learn about this topic. And if you want to learn more about it, you can go check these places out. The other reason is that it shows how much research you did to become an expert. When we get to the end of your presentation and we see, whoa, you visited all these websites and read all these books and watched this documentary movie, you must have really worked hard on this and learned a lot about the topic. So it's a way to signal that you've done your homework. So that's a way, there's a few different reasons why we do this, and you might not have had to in third grade or second grade or whatnot before now, but as you go further and further in your schooling, into fifth grade and middle school and high school, college, if you're going up to that far, it's all going to require this. Whenever you write an essay or do a presentation, it's important to show what sources you used to help you know what you know. In fact, you might even notice this in movies and things at the end. If you watch all the way to the end of the credits in a movie or a documentary, you'll see where they tell the sources for different things. They might thank the country of New Zealand for helping them for letting them film their movie there. Or they might special thanks to the Museum of Natural History, or, depending on what the documentary is. So it's always a great thing to do to tell what sources you used when you do a big project like this. Okay, all of that to say, that's why we're going to be using this graphic organizer to stay organized and keep track of what sources we visit. So, in a moment, we'll take a look at the thing where we say what our source was, the title, the website, that kind of thing, and what notes we took from there. So let's go have a look. Okay, kiddos, so here is the Google Doc where you will be keeping track of the sources you use and the notes you take, the things you learn from that source. Most of your work is going to happen down here. So you will click in the first box, and you get to choose if you want a number or a bullet point, or however you would like to start it. And you'll type your source in this first column. For right now, I'll just do that because we're going to talk about sources more in a second. And then you're going to come straight across and type your notes, the things you learn, over here. So, learned this, learned that. You will have actual notes because you're looking from an actual source. When you get to another source, you're going to use the enter button to skip a line or two, depending on how it goes. And you'll type your next source. You'll hop over here, skip a line by pressing enter again, and type more learning. And so on and so on. Now, typing your sources is probably a little bit new, but you'll notice that there's a pattern to it. I put a key up here at the top to help you. In fact, I think I'm going to make it a slightly light gray. A little darker than that. You notice how I'm using this? The bucket of paint spilling? It's a cool tool because it changes the background. So up here, these are examples for how to write different sources. Depending on what source you use, it's going to be slightly different, but you'll notice some similarities. I gave you examples for websites, books, videos like YouTube videos, or maybe like, I don't know, documentaries on Netflix, stuff like that, or if you talk to a person. So let's take a look. First of all, if you're citing a website, you're going to put the name of the website first, and we're going to use the italic button up here so that it looks obviously different. And then you're going to type the link right here. So let's do an example. I'm going to take us to a new tab, and let's go to Nat Geo Kids. This is a great source if you would like to look into it yourself. And in a future lesson, I will be posting a bunch of sources for you. But National Geographic Kids is perfect for if you want to learn about things that relate to social studies or science. It's just got a lot of stuff. You can use the search button up here to look up specific things and go from there. So, National Geographic Kids is the name of the website. Website names are either in kind of the top middle zone, like a book title, or sometimes they tuck them in the top left corner, like they did right here. Now, if this was one of my sources, I would go to my list. Here, I'll make a fresh one. I would click the slanting letter button, and I would type National Geographic Kids. I think that matches. National Geographic Kids, yeah. So that's the name of the website. I'm going to unslant it and put a space because now we need the website. This is going to get a little tricky, but I think you can handle it. I dragged my screen down because I wanted you to see the search bar up here. Here's the website, the web's address. Like if you pasted this, it would take you straight there. Now there's a couple ways I can do this. You saw me highlight it with my mouse, and then I can right-click and copy. You can also use keyboard shortcuts to copy things if you know those. After I've highlighted it and pressed copy, I'm going to come back here, right-click again, and there it is at the top. You might have to scroll up and down to find it, but I'm looking for the word paste. There it is. It pasted it in there. Okay, so that's how you cite a website. And then you would have your notes go here to match it. Citing a book works almost the same way. You put the title of the book in slanty letters and then the author's name in normal letters. Oh, when you copy a website, when you press enter, it might change color on you. Don't worry about that. It's not a problem. All this does is, because Google is Google, it turns it into a link that you can click on and it'll take you back to that website, which is going to be really handy if you're writing your project and you're like, oh, I need to double check something. You can hop right back to your website. So a book title, it would be the same, slanty letters and then the author's name. I'm just gonna make up a book all about animals, and then I unslant it, and we'll say this book is by Bob Bobson, which is a made-up name. If you found a useful YouTube video, like here's one of my old ones, you go down to find the title of the video right here, and that's where you would put in the title spot. Slanty letters for the title. What was it? It was Introducing Area Builder for this one, which doesn't make any sense for your social studies projects, but whatever. And for this one, instead of putting the name of the person who made the video, if you can find it, cool, but all I'm going to ask you for this project is the day you watched it. Now, when you get up to high school or college or things, you might need to put more information about various things, like who made the video or when they posted it. But you guys are in 3rd and 4th grade. We're not going to get that crazy yet. So just the title and when you looked at it. And finally, if you talk to a person, maybe you know someone who is an expert in this field, you could type their name, and then the day that you talked to them. Okay, whew, that was a lot. So, the important thing is keep track of what sources you use when you're doing this project by making this list. Take your notes over here. If you forget how to write down one of your sources, look up here in the gray box to find out how. All right, that's all for now. I'll see you in the next video.